Let's see if anyone joins this thing. Where are we at? Alcaraz 40-15 set point. Maybe no one will join because everybody's focused on this match. But this is the post third match. There it is. Third set, post third set. Little chat that we have going on. So 2 sets to 1 for Alcaraz now. And let's see if I have anyone that joins. Cool. Yeah, we got one person. Welcome, welcome. So post third set, little drop in. See if people join in. But obviously interesting on the prediction that I did the coin flip about that the coin flip said Sinner would win. But during the prediction, I mentioned that Alcaraz or the court conditions really didn't favor either player. And that's wrong, right? I think you can see it. So thanks for joining. So I said the court conditions I didn't think favored either player because it was like lively, but it wasn't too high a bouncing. You can see that assessment was wrong. Clearly, the court conditions are favoring Alcaraz. You can see how Alcaraz is able to get some returns back deep, but high and slow, and Sinner has to hit a really high ball, and he's missing a lot of them. He just can't quite generate the pace that he did like at Wimbledon. So this is clearly a match that's favoring Alcaraz in terms of the court conditions, which I thought it would be sort of neutral, but like I said, that was wrong. So let me know what you guys think. I know a couple people joining, so I think everyone realizes when you're watching this, it seems like this match is completely in Alcaraz's control. And it's funny when you watch these matches, you think that Alcaraz is playing so much better than Sinner, and he is, relative speaking, of course, but it's pretty much because of court conditions and ball bounce. I mean, they are the deciding factor when these two guys meet. Earlier in the year when they met at Wimbledon and Roland Garros, we were talking about at the French Open and at Wimbledon, we were talking about the slippery surfaces are more favorable to Alcaraz than they are to Sinner. And I don't think it's that simple anymore. It's clearly the ball bouncing, how lively the ball bounces is probably the biggest factor in these matches. So when the ball is not lively and bouncing very aggressively off the court like it does at Wimbledon, it favors Sinner. When the ball is pretty lively and he gets that extra jump, you can get some comments coming in. So thanks for that. You can see like at French Open and in Rome and here at the US Open, the ball is more lively. It's getting up on Sinner. He can't be quite as aggressive, or actually he can be quite as aggressive, but he's not making the shots as often. It's just getting out of his strike zone. And Alcaraz is doing a fantastic job being relatively creative on the hard court, mixing up the slice, the slow, high backhands, and the return of serve has been fantastic for Alcaraz because he's just getting the ball back and it's deep, and then Sinner tries to go for a winner or a really big shot, and he's making some of them, but he's missing a lot of them. What time is it for me? It's what time is it for me? It's 2:42, so I'm in Central Time in the U.S. You think Sinner can win this fourth set? I don't know. I don't know if he can win the fourth. I mean, he can win it, of course. Will he win it? Not if he's going to have to play really, really well, exceptionally well. He's going to have to play at a higher level, or Alcaraz is going to have to dip. If Alcaraz plays at a high level here, I don't think so. It certainly looks like this is all under control of how Alcaraz plays more than what Sinner does. I mean, Sinner could have a say in it if he's just tees off and he's playing fantastic and he's just hitting his lines, then he could win it. I'd like to see at least a fifth set to see what happens, because this has not been, I thought this might be the best meeting between them because of being hard courts and so predictable, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The rallies aren't that long. There aren't any incredible rallies. So it's interesting that the French Open points on the slow court, of course, were the best points that we had between these two guys during the French Open. So what's up, Kay Whalen? Why is Sinner serving straight on Alcaraz every time? He's not going for aces. Yeah, he seems to be going for aces, but when he does, he's missing it into the net. He's hitting a lot of serves into the net, at least from what I can tell. And frankly, even when he hits really close to the lines, Alcaraz seems to be right on his serve and getting most of those serves back. Do I like the new format with the electric calls out? Yeah, I mean, it's just better overall. I want to see fair sport, even though you lose some drama. I think it's certainly better just because you take any sort of subjectiveness out of the game. I hate it. That's where they're cheating. Oh, you think they're line calls that are cheating on the line calls? No, I don't think so. That would, if that ever came out, there's something wrong. I mean, the line calling system is computerized. It may not be absolutely perfect, but it's far superior to what we had in the past with humans calling lines and all the drama that went with that. What do you guys think? I mean, does Sinner have a chance here? I mean, what would need to happen? I mean, he's struggling just to win points on his serve, never mind holding serve. I mean, when he holds serve, it's kind of strange. So we talked about ball bounce height. Um, the movement here as well seems to be favoring. Normally, I would think the movement favors Sinner when everything's really predictable, but Alcaraz is moving incredible. He just seems to be all over anything that Sinner brings to him. So, yeah, so thanks for joining. Let's see what happens in the fourth set. If it does go a fifth set, I think I'll come back on this after the fourth set and see if Sinner was able to pull it out. It's funny when I do these, not the lives, but I do the videos. I still get so many people talking about that I'm a Alcaraz hater. And I just don't get, sometimes I don't get some sports fans. I don't know if they're sort of the Argentinian and Brazilian, how they hate each other so much in football. And that's just one example of people who think that you have to hate the other guy. If you like one guy, you have to hate the other guy. That's just ridiculous in my mindset, adolescent mindset. I'm not an Alcaraz hater. I think, how can you hate Alcaraz? I mean, these guys are just awesome dudes, great people, incredible sportsmanship. I just prefer Sinner's game, so that's why I root for Sinner. I look at the game maybe a little bit differently than how you look at the game, and I prefer Sinner's stroke mechanics. I find his game more appealing, even though Alcaraz clearly has more variety and different creativity that he has, which I can fully understand why people like the drop shots and the variation that Alcaraz brings to the table. But I'm just not a big advocate, or not advocate. I just don't love the way Alcaraz stroke mechanics, just strokes are. For some reason, they're just not appealing to me as much. That's one of the reasons why everybody loves Federer so much, right? He just made the game look beautiful. And I'm not saying Sinner makes the game look beautiful like Federer, but his stroke mechanics to me are more appealing. And that's why one of the reasons I think Novak is not as well liked in terms of a tennis player outside of his personality and some of his arrogance, but his game is just not as appealing. Even Rafa's game I thought was much more appealing than Novak's game. So I don't have to be a hater. I think Alcaraz is awesome. He's clearly earning this match out of the two other Grand Slams they played, where you could easily argue that Sinner should have won the French Open and he won Wimbledon. And but this one, no doubt about it, he's winning this match. And if he wins this match, meaning Alcaraz, he clearly won the match. There's no doubt about it that he earned this one. So Wimbledon went to Sinner. Alcaraz seems to be on his way to winning this match, but we'll see. Still something to go. I'm not saying he didn't earn it at the French Open as well. He did, but Sinner had an opportunity to win. So, not an opportunity to win. You could easily argue that Sinner should have won the French Open when he had those 3 break points, but he didn't. So Alcaraz still earned the French Open win. But this is the one so far that outside of, it was pretty clear that Sinner was winning Wimbledon after the first set. Or after the second set, and it's very clear that Alcaraz is on his way, or at least has it on his racket, to win this match. Sinner is going to have to do stuff like that. diving in ridiculous volleys, having to hit an extra volley for him to be able to win points. I mean, that was insane. And that's just the hold serve. Just the hold serve he's having to play ridiculous points. History was an old friend. He would be stunned by this level of Dennis Ralston. Yeah, I don't even hardly remember Dennis Ralston playing at all. I'm a little bit younger than those days. So, but that's an interesting, yeah, perspective. You could only imagine this kind of level by tennis players, from 30, 40 years ago. And Kay Wallen, Alcaraz, for me, has the best forehand ever and the most beautiful to look at. That's interesting that you say that. That's weird. What's that subjective about our eyes and what we see? I don't find Alcaraz's forehand. It's biomechanically great, and its stroke mechanics, nothing you can complain about. It's a incredible forehand. For some reason, I don't find it to be really appealing. It's not beautiful to me whatsoever. Not whatsoever. It's just average to me, his forehand, in terms of how it looks. It's not average in terms of ability. It's one of the best forehands ever, but I just don't find it as appealing like you do. So that's weird how we all look at things a little bit different. We see things differently. I like Sinner's. Obviously, Federer's was hard to beat. Agassi's also pretty cool. I mentioned Novak's arrogance. How so, please? Not always. Novak is an interesting character. He comes across as incredibly kind at times and very intelligent, but he's also very arrogant at times. And I'm not really blaming him for that. He's earned to be arrogant or very confident, if you want to call it overconfident at times. He's really great to most players. Most players seem to really like what he stands for. And I do as well. I think he does a lot of good work, or he has a lot of good ideas for representing players in the future. But I also think he gets ahead of his skis sometimes and comes across as too arrogant. And I think that's why he's not as liked by a lot of people. He's never been as popular as Nadal or Federer. And I think that's because of the arrogance. And I'm not saying it's not well earned, but many people will find him to be arrogant as often as he is kind as well. There's he gets caught up in conspiracies sometimes, or just it's hard to put a finger on why don't people like Novak as much as Federer and Nadal. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but I don't think you can argue that he's far less popular than those two dudes were. All right, so you mentioned Novak's arrogance. I answered that question already. And it looks like people. So let's go watch the fourth set. If it goes to a fifth, let's come back here. I'll see you maybe in a little while. And if it ends after 4 sets, I probably won't jump back in here, but who knows. But thanks for watching, and hope you subscribe and watch some of the videos in the future. And let me know if there's any videos you want me to consider doing. I have a couple interesting videos coming up on Joe Fonseca. A video coming up on Fonseca very soon. I actually shot it a while ago. I just need to publish it. What else do I have a video coming up on? I'm going to re-jump into the heavy versus light racket, myth, if you want to call it that. That there's no such thing as a better to be light or heavy. It's all dependent and subjective. So that's another video I have coming up soon. But to me, this is kind of like the end of the season, right? After the US Open, things subside a little bit. So I'll try and do some other types of content, and we'll see how it goes, even though there's really no end of season in tennis, right? But obviously the end of the Grand Slam season. So William Knapp, right? We played together long before he was Davis Cup tapped, and he retired in Broadmoor in Colorado. I agree about the style. Federer wins. Yeah, agreed as well. All right. Well, I know everybody wants to watch the match and doesn't want to sit here and watch me ramble. So thanks for watching. Maybe I'll see you after the 4th set, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.